We're going to talk about what is going on in the world and at home tonight.
What is going on in the world and at home tonight?
We'll get there. We'll get there. So I have to make an ad for the radio station and they need a sound bite. So we're going to do that right now. And so hopefully we get this done in a take or two. So you can see my creative process, how we do things
Slow.
slow.
Oh, I thought you were talking about in there.
Yeah. All right. Sunday, May 12th from 9 to 2 p.m. Mother's Day brunch at Rick's. It's a brunch buffet for $24.99 and a bottomless mimosa for $20. We'll see you Sunday for Mother's Day. If you have a mom, if you're thinking about being a mom,
I am thinking about being a mom.
come on down. I don't know about that one. Let's do it again. Mother's Day brunch at Rick's. Sunday, May 12th from 9 to 2. Come on down. We're doing a brunch buffet and bottomless mimosas. If you're a mom, if you're thinking about being a mom, or if you don't have a mom, come on down.
Just so you know that this is live, and he wants to start it again, but it's already done.
It's a done deal. All right. This show's brought to you by Detour Auto Sales. If you're looking for an affordable car, take the Detour. Detour Auto Sales. Most of you know, hopefully you know by now, that we're doing shrimp tacos at Rick's.
Yes.
My last 3 meals have been shrimp tacos. I love them. They make me happy. I'm like doing the happy dance while I'm eating them. They're so good. So anyway.
Not sure if I mentioned this, but yes.
So if you like shrimp tacos, you got to try them. I'm loving them right now.
Kind of like McDonald's, but different. You're loving it?
I know, but I'm like, I can't say that. Yeah, so I had a meeting with the radio station, and they're like, so, what do you want to do? How do you want to do stuff? And I'm like, we live in a world where like everything is the old school is boring. You're like, been here since 1820. It's family friendly. But that's not getting to your customer, your crowd. And I'm like, can we do one off Baby Got Back? And they're like, oh, that'd be interesting. What would it be like? And I'm like,
Baby having back.
No, it's about our burgers. We have the biggest burgers in town, so we have these half-pound patties, and so I'm like, all right, look at that burger. It is so big. Dun 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 dun. My homeboys tried to warn me. That burger you got makes me so hungry. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I don't rap, but anyway, I thought it'd be fun, and we'll see what they will come up with. So I'm like, here's some material, make it happen. What can I do? What can't I do? And
no butt stuff.
No, but you could do parody and all that stuff's legit. So we'll see where that takes us. Boy, I've been having a ton of meetings, and if you don't know me, my phone doesn't stop ringing.
It's true.
It's like meetings, phone rings. Having a couple businesses definitely keeps you busy. And we talk about a lot of different things. What's going on in the community and what's going on in the world. And if you know something about some of these topics, I'd love to talk with you. I'm a contractor, and I hear a lot about affordable housing. And then I have to look at the cost of building a house, right? They're like energy codes, and they're slapping on $30,000-$40,000 to every house. And I'm like, we're not getting anywhere closer to affordable. I was like, but tacking on that, I was like, we don't like the prices as they are. Let's tack on another 30,000, to build a house. Wow. That's all. But anyway, but yeah, if you know more about energy credits, right, you need better insulation in your walls, better systems, better materials, and the cost goes up.
I like to say that because you can't see my face, I'm going to interject, and you have no idea who I am. But if you need your house remodeled, if you need something built, this is the guy. He understands that you were in a budget, and he still builds quality buildings, whether home, garage, sheds, porches, whatever it is. And that's why he's bringing this up, is because he's got to tell the customer that, hey, I'm sorry, this is what I'm dealing with. Because of Uncle Sam, I have to charge you this.
Well, energy credits, I don't know if that's Uncle Sam or state, but anyway, it's passed down to us.
Yeah.
Um, I do post some things on social media, and I posed a question recently about how come we don't have data centers in our small town, and the town 40 miles from here is getting them. And it's been really fascinating to have private discussions and people's comments to educate me on some of this because I have a simplistic understanding of the process, right? You need water, power, and data, and energy, and all this stuff that is desperately needed to make these things run like a top. And yeah, it's great to ask these questions and get that feedback. And we'll be discussing more of that with some of the guests I have. Right, we just started, and I've got like 6 more interviews lined up. Even
Booked for the next like 2, 3 weeks.
yeah, like crazy. Like we just started, and people were like, "I want on the show." I've reached out to some people, and we're going to do some great stuff. Another topic in our little town is the homeless situation, and what's the deal with that? I know some people that have been homeless, and I've been like, "Hey, let's get you on the show, and possibly tonight I'll do another interview with someone that has been homeless and the discuss the network that goes on because there is a underground network there that us people living in houses don't see. We're unaware of it, but there's things happening and moving behind the scenes. Of how do they know where to go, what to do, who's the boss? There's a whole system in place that many of us living in the comfort of our homes have no idea that exists. The purpose of like doing all this is I want to help business in the local community. I uh, I was thinking, like no one's doing it. No one's lifting us up. And I was like, if we come together, we can rise together. And, marketing is tough for small business.
The power of many.
The power of many. And so if we can come together, we can rise together. And so by talking to these businesses and getting their information out there, I think it's a win-win for everyone. Hello? Tough to get a sound tech. Do we need to start over?
I have no idea what just happened.
Yeah, you're playing on your phone and it bled over.
It was actually not, and it just came up. Yeah, but anyway, the power of many is what we were talking about.
The power of many. Um, yeah, so you got businesses and associations and people, and like everybody has something to contribute. So if you specialize in something, if you own a business, come on down. We'd love to talk to you and educate the community with what you're doing. And so we do have people lined up and some politicians coming in we can grill them.
One thing I like about the show is that Rick does not have to agree with you, but he'll listen to what you have to say.
Really?
Yeah, just like the other day. Like,
Oh yeah, yeah. So like, yeah, they would talk, and it was a positive conversation. So that's what we want.
yeah, because unfortunately, in the world we live in, there's a lot of propaganda instead of just raw news. This is what I see, this is what I hear. And then Rick just asks the important questions.
Yeah, and I do ruffle some feathers with the questions that I ask, and some of it is I don't necessarily know what's going on.
He asked the blind guy what his favorite color was.
He could see in the past. But yeah, that was my favorite question. What's your favorite color? But yeah, I want to be edgy, but also provide a safe space and you know ask the questions that you're either asking in your head that you won't say. But sometimes these questions need to be asked, and like, why is everyone afraid to do it?
Yeah.
Um, you know, it blows my mind because I'll ask a question. They're like, someone had to ask it. I'm like, why is it got to be me every time? But if it's got to be me, then let's do
He's got the face for it.
it. So share a little story with you. Growing up, we had a girl come live with us. Um, she was acting up in her house, and like, I don't know if she didn't have a place to go, but her family moved her out to the doghouse. It was like a clubhouse or whatever. Anyway, she ended up living with us for like 3, 4 months, and she treated us like little brothers. She was several years older. I had older sisters, but anyway, she was staying with us. Troubled teen, and she would pat me on the head and be like, "You have a kind face, the kind of face I'd like to step on." So really rough upbringing. Let me tell you, I was picked on a lot.
I could agree with her.
But yeah, I always thought that was funny. You have a kind face, the kind of face I'd like to step on. But anyway, after the 3, 4 months of her living with us, her parents were like, "Yeah, we're gonna come take you out to dinner," and they like picked her up, and these big football players grabbed her, threw her in a van, and they put her in some like camp of some kind, rehabilitation camp, to get her back on the straight and narrow or something. But yeah, I don't think can they do that today? Can you just like grab? Can your parents like those little like camp places they'd send the troubled kids and they would take their shoelaces at night? Are they allowed to do that
No,
still?
they're not.
The
Unfortunately.
football players and would grab you, haul you off in a van, and you're on an airplane and or drive someplace, and they're like, "Here you go," and then off in the
They can
desert
give
for
you like a demerit or tell you like that you're um, not doing okay, but no touchy.
yeah, touchy, touchy. Yeah, it was crazy, crazy stuff.
When I grew up, I was in the military. They could call us names. They could call out the stuff, but apparently nowadays they're very sensitive. So
Yeah, they are a little more sensitive.
they came out with this thing called TTO, technical timeout, training timeout.
That's a Navy thing.
And if you felt hurt or offended or any of that stuff, you would yell TTO.
I've never heard of that. That must be a Navy thing.
No, it's spread.
I have a stress card, Sergeant.
My feelings are hurt. Can I have a timeout?
So some of you don't. If you don't, shame on you. But yeah, I was in the army,
There we go.
and yeah, it's a love hate relationship. But
He loves to hate
I love to hate it.
it.
But yeah, there's some great experiences, and there's some like, what in the world is going on here? Why are we sitting around? The hurry up and wait drove me nuts.
Yeah.
An entrepreneurial person, that is a hard place to be. Some people like to be told what to wear and where to be, but for me, that was difficult. Should we share some more stories?
So you were talking to me about how the business owners are kind of losing because of all the things coming your way, the costs, inflation, and how difficult it is. Like you started the contracting company, and then you bought the restaurant lounge. And what are you seeing now since then? The differences.
Well, they could say the economy's strong all they want, whoever they is, the media, whatever. But from my perspective, both businesses are running much leaner the past, man, 6, 8 months than um, I've seen uh, ever. Ever. I think the cost of money. Who wants to refinance their house from their 3% interest rate to like it's like getting a second mortgage.
What do you mean by the cost of money? That
So like yeah, so if you refinance your house and you had a 3% loan and you're paying your $1,500 a month and you're like, oh, I need a $20,000, $30,000 loan, and you go to refinance it, your interest rate will jump to 6, 7, 8%, and you're like, your mortgage payment doubles. Rather than being a few $100s more a month, it's like a whole nother mortgage payment. So I don't blame anybody that's like, yeah, because I'll do bids and they're like, yeah, we wanted to start, but I can't afford it. The cost of money is crazy. I don't blame you. I wouldn't want to pay double your payment to $2, $3,000 just for a remodel. So the cost of money is one of the factors for someone doing a remodel because like most not everybody has deep pockets where they can just be like, oh, I'm going to throw 20,000 at this because it's pocket change. Um, but that's a very real thing for people. They're like, the thing's leaking and broken and they've been ignoring it for 10, 20 years. And at some point they're like, I got to deal with this. And then they go look at the cost of money to refinance or get a loan or whatever. And they're like, whoa, never mind. I'll wait it out. And so I think for a lot of small contractors, um, that has definitely simmered them down quite a bit uh, from what I've seen. This was the first winter that I was like not slam busy. Last year, in the last like 2, 3 years, man, I've always had 20, 30 jobs lined up. When one ended, bam, the next one went, the next one went. And right now it's like, oh, I got one job. I wonder what the next one's gonna do or appear. So it's much different environment uh, in terms of construction. In terms of having a restaurant, you know, to go out to eat is kind of a privilege. It's for some it's surplus money. Some people are on a fixed income, and you know if they were coming once a week, now you see them once a month. Wow. So it's a much different situation. You go to Walmart and you buy your goods that you need, you have to have, and the $100 is now $200. Um, and this is all very general talk, and I mean, I'm sure you can nod your head and go, "Yeah, it costs more." That's the point. It costs more now than before, and and so you could say, yeah, if you're buying the necessities and they cost more, the bigger businesses could probably show more income, which may imply that the economy is going well. But the surplus spending for your fun and entertainment seems to have come down quite a bit. So that's what I'm seeing on my end, which is kind of a knucklehead thing to go into because it's kind of negative, but that's the reality of the situation.
Yeah, times have changed a lot.
Oh, a lot, a lot.
And one thing that I can say about Rick is that he tries to think ahead and tries to like plan, diversify is the word I'm thinking of.
Yeah, that's a that's a good thing because like when we talk politics and too high.
A year ago, 2 years ago, like what's that look like now in profit terms?
Yeah, well, so for example, right, I serve a half pound patty, and we used to be able to get it for like $2 a patty, and now you're like 2.50, $3 to serve a patty if you're doing the half pound, and um, but yeah, everything's going up. And, the newest thing that's being thrown at you if you're paying attention to the news is Washington is getting rid of styrofoam.
Wow.
And it's a simple thing because that's where your to-go boxes and things. So I'm like, okay, I got to go to a paper or plastic for my to-go orders, and so there's another increase in costs there. Um, but it's going to be always something. I mean, pretty soon they'll be like, we need paper straws. Pretty soon we're going to need, um, something else. But it's not just me. It's everybody in society is feeling it. Whether it's you know buying a house, right? With energy credits, the cost increases.
Hmm.
So adding that 30, 40,000 for a consumer there, the businesses are going to feel it here. So from all sides, everybody's feeling it, I guess, together, at least from what I see on my end. I'm sure big businesses are feeling it too. Yeah.
Where's the freedom in that?
The freedom. Does that word even apply? The freedom. If you have a surplus of dollar bills, there might be some freedom. Where's the freedom in that? Do you have an answer for that? Like, where's the freedom in that? Or is that
I,
sarcasm? Like, I feel free right now. Costs are going up. Life is good.
United States, one thing that's said is land of the free. Do you feel it?
I don't know how deep into politics we want to go here, but like uh, everything is. Geez, this is getting complex faster than I wanted it to. The land of the free. It's much more complicated than that. I wish it was that simple where, yeah, things were that it was that free and you could actually own things. But, but that's the devil in the details. Yeah.
I rent everything I have. I rent my kids. I rent my movies. I rent my software. Everything I do is rented. I own nothing.
You own nothing. That's what it pretty much feels like. Yeah. Yeah, paying property taxes, man. I wrote two checks. One was they're both about 6,000 each for property tax, and
Mm.
I'm like, man, that is that's that's more than a mortgage payment. But I mean, that's just the the world I live in. I'm like, man, what do I do? I don't.
So you were a contractor. You bought a restaurant lounge, and everything you do seems to be like about community. How's that working?
The reason I bought Rick's was they had this back space that somebody was like welding trailers, and they were too big to fit out the back door. And anyway, but I saw this space and I was like, man, there's a few thousand square feet back here, and our town needs some fun. And so I just asked them if it was for sale, and they said, "Oh, let me ask the owner." And anyway, they said it was, and I asked them how much, and they gave a price, and I said, "I'll take it." I'm like, I know nothing about restaurants. I don't know anything about liquor. I was like as ignorant as you can be. Um, and there were some people that were like, he ain't gonna make it. I had my doubters, and I was like, well, most things are simplistic, you know, and I have good staff, and so I was like, you guys do what you do. Let me build this. I'll let you run it. And so I gave a lot of power. to the workers. Like, and every time they'd be like, "We got a problem." Like, if I got to get involved, I'm shutting it down. They're like, "Okay, we'll work it out." But like, I'm like, you do what you do best. Like, you're a bartender, you're this, you know your clients. If they have an idea, they pitch it at me. I pitch ideas to them. They go, yes, yes, no, don't do that, Rick. That won't. I'm like, all right. I'll shelf that one. But I wanted to create a space that had variety. I'm like, this is a small town. It cannot handle a comedy show every week. Like, it just can't. So I was like, oh, we'll do comedy shows once a month. The fundraiser we were doing with the Latin dancing, I was like, that was a cool add-on. I got weddings going on here. In fact, this weekend I've got a wedding, and I was like, how cool is that? Who would have thought you'd be getting married at Rick's? Like, but I've got like I had one last year. I've got three set up for this year. I'm like, since when am I a wedding location? How cool is that? Um, we've created a space that is affordable for people to have weddings in, and they're like, wow, because it's like, do I go off and pay 5, 10,000 for a space somewhere else, or I can go to Rick's and have a cool reception and um, they even want the mechanical bull. You want to see the bride and groom ride off into the sunset? Like, how cool is that? But like, it's anyway. Banquet events, corporate parties have been seasonal thing. And so it's been growing and developing. Like, I've been around 2 years and I'm like, wow, look what it's done in a couple of years. What's it going to do in 5 years when more people know about what we're doing? What's it going to do in 10 years? So I think one of the advantages I have is that space um, where other places, I mean, they have their thing.
It's the biggest dance floor in Moses Lake.
Well, that's kind of on hold right now. The dance floor being so big, they're requiring like a sprinkler system, or they want me to bolt tables to the ground or reduce the space. So I'm trying to navigate that. Like today, I got a bid for a sprinkler system that was like 214,000, and I was like, I'm like, there's no way I'm paying 200,000 for a sprinkler system. I'm just gonna wrinkle that bid up and throw it in the trash can. Like, that is way too high. It's crazy. That's way too high. I was like, there's no way. That's like almost as much as it cost me to buy the place. Like, oh, you bought a place, great. Why don't you buy it again? I'm like, you know what? I'd rather, yeah, I don't want to say the word shut down, but I'm like, I'd rather shut this sucker down
Yeah,
than pay
200,000
200,000.
can do a lot of great things.
Yeah, I'm like, that would probably ruin me. Like, and I get a lot of opinions, right? Because I've asked the community to support me, and I've had a great response and support. Um, because like I pencil it, I'm like, man, this is a very good business sense. But I'm like, my dream was to bring some fun to Moses Lake. So I'm like, how do I balance that? And I said, if they support me, I'm going to do it. I'm just going to do it. I don't, because like the thing only makes me a couple $1,000s a month. You know, I try to rent the space out. I try to do different things. I've got employees to pay, things to clean up. A couple events make money, some don't. Sometimes I allow nonprofits to come in and utilize the space, or a, a fun, activity. The line dancing or the cornhole. Like, somehow somebody's thinking I'm putting like hundreds of people back here. They're like, there's thousands of people dancing. Like, no, I have to like beg for like 50 people to show up. But it's good, clean fun, like the line dancing classes were. But many of those activities are on hold. The dancing and comedy shows are on hold because of the sprinkler issue. And I'm trying to navigate it. I'm trying to ask questions, and I, man, I can't even get answers to questions. So it's very frustrating um, to navigate it. I'm like, can I get it in writing? Like,
Let's talk about the city and the meeting that they had with you.
I want to be careful here because, like, I don't want to ruffle any more feathers than I have. But um, uh, but this is into Rick's whining session. I felt railroaded a little bit because I got a phone call and they said, "Hey, come on down to the city. We want to talk to you." And I'm like asking questions like, "What's it about? What's going on?" And they wouldn't tell me anything. So I I thought I had an idea what it might be about. And when I got there, there was like 10 city officials and they were just, yeah, that's when they were like, no dancing, no comedy, no this, that, you know. And I was like, well, I got these things booked. They're like, nope, cease and desist immediately. And I was like, dude, you're killing me. You're crushing me. I was like, and I'd ask them questions. I'd be like, it's a line dance class. I got 11-year-old kids in there. Like, sorry, has the word dance in it. That makes it a nightclub. And I go, there's 11-year-old kids in there learning to dance. They're like, sorry, dancing, nightclub. Anyway, it was kind of crushing to me. I was like, I don't understand. I go, I have a nonprofit Latino group that comes in. They raise scholarship funds for kids to go to college. They put like 3 kids to college every year, or they support 3 kids or whatever. Like, great thing. Um, and they're like, nope, they do dancing, nightclub. I was like, man, you're killing me. Um, and so I felt really, really stuck. I really popped my bubble. I was walking around. It wasn't until the shrimp tacos came out that I was like dancing around again. Like, it simmered me down for a few months. There's been a major blow, but I started, yeah, the shrimp tacos really cheered me up. So
Go shrimp.
go shrimp. They're so good.
So looking forward, what do you see in the near future, the extended future?
In my mind, it's too open ended to really answer it like quickly, but in the near future, I'm just fundraising and rallying the troops. Right, we're selling T-shirts that say "Just Put Out" with the fire sprinkler system, and people have been buying those. I even emailed the fire marshal and told him, I go, I expect you to buy a T-shirt, because they'll. I get a lot of lip service. Oh, we support you. Oh yeah, we appreciate what you're doing. We love you. And I'm like, no, not a single shirt has been sold to the city. Other people buying it, but maybe it's too edgy for them. Like, you don't have to wear it to work. But like, um, anyway, I just find it interesting where the lip service you get. But I had one of the guys coming in to estimate the sprinkler system. He goes, "These are awesome." He bought a bunch of shirts for his guys because it's a fire sprinkler thing. So I'm like, anyway,
So
I should probably give him the
you've
bid.
never drank it in your life.
No,
You own a bar. You're dealing with the overhead of government oversight.
well,
What would you tell someone
I,
that wants to do business in Washington State?
I did drink once, and I was at Sumo Sushi, and the guy they were doing the tempon, the fancy cooking thing going on. You know what I'm talking about?
I do. I'm trying to think of the name.
Uh, tempon,
Hibachi.
teppanyaki, hibachi grill. The guy's throwing stuff around, and he brings out this little naked guy, and he's like, "Open your mouth!" And he sprays this in my mouth, so this thing's like peeing in my mouth. And my ex-wife at the time, she's like, "I think that's has alcohol in it." I could feel like a little tingle in my mouth. The sake, yeah. And I'm like spitting it out on my napkin, right? I was like, you know. Anyway, that was the only time I was deceived by the devil. I was tempted. It was like
By devil, he means Satan.
I didn't know what was happening. I was just ignorant kid, but an ignorant adult. So anyway, I just spit it out of the napkin. I was like, well, wasn't trying to, but there it was, and the rest is history. No, but no, I don't drink. Um, the men usually be like, "What?" And the women are like, "You're so smart," That's genius. Some people get it, some don't. But like,
Yeah.
uh, I just wasn't raised that way to do that. But like, it's been amazing to see the community here. Like, I have met the most generous people uh, that will give you the shirt off their back in this community. Like, I didn't know the community existed, but like, we'll do fundraisers for different groups, do toy drives. We'll do all these things on the side, and uh, yeah, my bartenders are like, "Hey, we're doing this," and they're like, "Oh, here's $20 for the kids. Here's $20 for the kids." Like, they're they're so generous. I mean, we have like funeral services here. Like, we do all sorts of stuff, but like, it's a community here that's very unique, and it serves a purpose. Like, um, I don't want to dive in this too deeply, but like, um, you know, people come here for fun. People come here, for whatever reason, divorce, lonely.
Mm.
But where can you go, walk in, see somebody, and go, "Hey, I'm gonna buy that guy a drink," and that person's like cheers that person up, and they've got a best friend all night, and then they can come here frequently. But there's a generosity here
Come on.
that's like super unique. go, go on. uh, but yeah, it's like, I don't know. It's amazing to see people serve each other and have friendships that are made, because you can travel anywhere in the world and go to an establishment like this, and you can make a friend
A lot of people
for the night.
will talk crap about Moses Lake. They say Moses Hole, but being here as long as I have, I've seen that there's a lot of community, a lot of people that just believe in the town. What are your thoughts?
When I first got here, I probably would have bought into the Moses Hole situation. Uh, and these are things that I would like to uplift in our community. When you first drive into town, you have your city curb appeal, and you drive down some of the main drags on 17 or Broadway, whatever, and you see some of this stuff, and I was like, yeah, it's a little rough around the edges, and those things have impact. I mean, my ex-wife started crying when we drove into town, and I have the coolest ex-wife. So like, um, but it proves a point that like with the hospital, like, how do we keep doctors and nurses to stay longer? How do we do this? How do we do that? And I was like, well, as an outsider coming in, you know, from right, I'm from Southern California. I'm used to a town that's our town was what, 60,000 people, but the town's all touched. So you had like a million people, Orange County, California, um, all right there. And we had access to many opportunities, restaurants and different things to do. And, you know, and one day, like, do you see it where Ephrata and Moses Lake are going to touch? Do you see it where Moses Lake and George and Quincy and everything's going to come together? Do you see it? Like, um, but yeah, so when you drive into town and you see some of these places that are like, falling apart a little bit, and you're new, that leaves a strong impression. And then you get on the internet and you Google, what to do in Moses Lake, and it's like water park and Japanese garden, and you're like, then what?
Hmm.
You know, it's like, is there a discovery center where the kids can go? Is there a is there a Costco? Is there a this or that? And we don't have to be everything to everyone, but there are certain places that have maybe bragging rights or
Yeah.
clout that people appreciate. That kind of puts you on the map of city success. So anyway,
Your menu at Rick's, you mentioned shrimp tacos. Are you dead set on what you have on the menu, or are you open for ideas and opportunities?
um, well, you have to stick with simplicity in a certain regard, at least for my demographic. The recent change, um, Carrie, my manager, came to me and she was like, Rick, I want to put together a $10 lunch. And I was like, well, how am I supposed to make any money? And she's like, well, the economy's down. Uh, we should put something together that's good for the customer. And I was like, okay, let's take the profits out of it and do a $10 lunch. And so instead of doing the big burgers we go to a quarter pound burger and it's like $9.99. And we have a wrap or a sandwich and a chicken quesadilla, which has like some garlic herb seasoning on it, which is pretty good. Grilled cheese sandwich, just a simple menu, but it gets you in a price range where you're not like cringing. And I was like, and if they want something else, they can order off the regular menu. But that was um, something that I was like, okay, let's do it. But I was like, man, it's $5 to buy the material, $5 to pay the cook to make it, and there's your $10. And I was like, well, it is affordable and it's nice to have a space and provide something that isn't just gouging everybody. Um, like when I bought Rick's or the building to hang out, it was $100,000 upside down. They had to get out. They were probably going to get foreclosed on. Like it was like coming to an end. And um, even during COVID, when they were like scraping by, when everything shut down, and Carrie, I probably shouldn't say this. I don't want to get anyone in trouble, but Carrie worked for tips only. She didn't get a paycheck for like 3 months.
Wow.
Like she's like, these are my people. She's ride or die. She's like, these are my people. I love them. I make sure they get home. They, the regulars. She's like, you call me when you get home. Like she's she truly cares about these people. She's like, she was ride or die. She's like, I'm in it, and you basically, yeah, worked labor free for 3 months during COVID, but like the business was failing. There was just no money to hand out, and you could criticize that however you want, but like that's a. I was like, wow, this girl's ride or die. She's in it and she's taking care of all these people, even when there wasn't money to pay her with COVID going on. And I was like, so I bought this place and it was like everything was priced too low. And so like, yeah, they were doing like $8 burgers, and I was like, I was like, what? Like, there's no money in it, you know. But I'm like, no wonder it's upside down. They're serving like food at cost, and like there's no surplus to get through a rainy day. And so I'm sure I've probably frustrated some people by bumping up the prices. Many people understand, some people don't, but I was like, I do not want to be $100,000 upside down to Uncle Sam because that person or the state, which is where a lot of the debt was. And I was like, that is not a good place to be. Um, because at some point they're going to like seize bank accounts, you know what I mean?
So
It gets wild.
you've heard a lot about where you come from, what's happening now. In closing, what would you say the future looks like for Rick's and for the enterprises that you're involved in?
Well, we're going to give it hell. um, I mean, the future, I do have my obstacles to get through for sure. But what's Rick's going to be doing in 5 years? It's going to be the number one place to go, right?
Yeah.
They're My understanding is they approved the parking diagonal stuff, so like that'll increase my parking, um, which is huge because my parking is somewhat limited. Um, After hours, people park all over and they walk in, but during the business day, the diagonal parking, yeah, would double the people coming in. So um, that'll definitely be a huge help uh, to the business, and super stoked about that because that's like really important during the business day. So 5 years, yeah, we'll be like the number one spot in Moses Lake for entertainment and activities. And I think it's because our model of doing variety. We are still a small town, and if you've noticed, I don't want to call out any other businesses specifically, but any business that has done a specific entertainment concept typically fails. They come and go, right? Laser tag came and went, Adventure Center came and went. We're at a teetering point where it's starting to become doable, but that's the key word, doable. So my model of variety gives me an advantage, right? Comedy show once a month, the dances, the karaoke, the cornhole tournaments we do every Tuesday. All these things provide variety, and the city can sustain that. And so, as our city grows, the outlook looks like really good.
Yeah.
Well, let's wrap this up. Thanks for joining us as we are learning and testing out uh, the podcast world. We will see you soon. Ricksican signing out.